Hi, it's Thomas Gronnemark, the throwing coach. Here is my throw-in report of the Champions League game Lazio against Bayern Munich. A game where Lazio won 1-0 and Bayern went into this game as a favorite, at least over the two games here. It was a really interesting throw-in game and a lot of things to take from this from both teams here. But before I go into the numbers and statistics of the game, I'll shortly introduce myself. My name is Thomas Gronnemark, and I've been a part of 14 titles in international football. I do two things with my throwing knowledge. First of all, I'm visiting clubs and national teams and helping them to improve their throwing position and goal scoring after the long, fast, and clever throwing, like, for example, I did with Liverpool FC. And I'm also helping amateur and youth coaches online with my Gronnemark's Throwing Academy and my online course there. If you're interested, you're welcome to go into throwingacademy.com. But let's go on to the Lazio versus Bayern live throw-in report. And I'll start with the away team. And we had some very special numbers here. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but normally I'm measuring possession on throw-ins under pressure where the players are marked. But all Bayern's throw-ins were no pressure throw-ins, and it doesn't give any meaning to measure any possession if the nearest player is like 15, 20, sometimes 30 meters away from the player who receives the ball. So I actually think it was the first time in 20 years I didn't see any throw-ins under pressure from a team, and this is not only with pro games but also youth and amateur games too. So this was a really special situation. So then, of course, I can't measure how many good situations Bayern were coming into because all of them were no pressure. So the only thing Bayern could do was to throw it to a free player. It's really important for me to say that just because the opponents are inviting you to a no pressure throw in, it doesn't mean that you should throw it. Often it'll be really hard because the opponents are like marking tight in areas below on the pitch, but sometimes there can be great throw-in options, even if the opponents are inviting you. But again, in this game, there was no one for Bayern, so Bayern couldn't really do much more. And that's why I have no highlights for Bayern. And so normally I have many highlights from both teams in a match, but in this one, no highlights. But I'll say a low light was Lazio's no pressure approach to this game. First of all, yes, I see sometimes Italian teams, not all, but some can have like a defensive approach to football games, and that's okay. But I actually think it was a little bit a shame for Lazio of several reasons. First of all, I've been analyzing Bayern throw-ins many times, and I see that one of Bayern's biggest weaknesses, if not the biggest at all, is Bayern's throw-ins. I've seen many throwing games for them where they had possession on throw-ins under pressure under 50%. So I think that not necessarily every throw-in, but at least some of them, they should have been pressuring Bayern because it's a great weakness from them. And then the other thing is that actually after Lazio scored the 1-0 goal, they also had 6 throw-ins uh, where there was no pressure there. So at that time, Lazio were 11 against 10, and if you take the goalies out, then it was 10 against 9. And then if you take the throw out too, and of course you can't do that because you can use the throw also. But if you do that, you are like 10 versus 8 outfield, so you're +2 there. So you can really put on some gigantic pressure on the opponents and make it even easier to take the ball from Bayern. So even though they were 1-0 up there, I think you can easily dare to press, especially if Bayern is on their own half and so, because if a top team like Bayern with fantastic technical players, they get the ball on their feet, then it's much harder to take the ball from them. But again, I think Bayern couldn't have done better, but the pressure from Lazio should have been much better. Then we go to Lazio's throw-ins, and yeah, I wasn't impressed, to say the least. So first of all, they had a possession on throw-ins under pressure on 25%. That's really low, and it was not because Bayern did some fantastic defending there. Of course, they did all right, but it's more that I saw no really great space creation from Lazio. A lot of balls into small spaces, a lot of obvious throw-ins there. So again, a lot of the common mistakes. And again, to be honest, I'm really surprised from game to game how many basic mistakes that pro teams are doing. They have so much time to train to improve that. Yeah, yeah, piece of the sport here with the throw-ins. So possession 25% was really bad. Then they only put themselves in 16.6% good situations. So of course that's even worse. So there's a big potential of improvement by Lazio with their attacking throw-ins. But of course, I could find a highlight for them because it was not 100% bad. There was a little bit good there. So I'll say in the 34th minute where they actually threw the ball into a small area. They could have been losing the ball there, but after that they switched the play, and I actually liked that a lot because it gave them a safe possession there. So well done by Lazio. But in the same theme again, I'll say that, and that's around switching too, is that a low light was in the 56th minute where they did a no-look switch. I see that often with football players that because they've agreed, yeah, now we switch the play, and so I see sometimes receivers of the ball, often midfielders, are either directly or after a shuffle, that they're just like they're switching the ball without scanning, and so they actually lost the ball in the 56th minute with a no-look switch, and that's really dangerous because that's like the kind of throw-in situation that can lose you a game. Because if you're switching to a mark player or inside an area of the pitch, for example, in the middle where there's an opponent, but you haven't seen it because you haven't scanned, that's really dangerous. So again, I think there's a big potential of improvement by Lazio, both on the defending throw-ins, but especially the attacking throw-ins. But again, this was my live throw-in report from the game Lazio versus Bayern in the Champions League. Again, do you want to know more about my throw-in and coaching? Go into throwinacademy.com. You can read all about my online courses, about my visits to the clubs, and of course you can follow me on all social media or subscribe if you see this on YouTube. But again, thanks for watching here and have a fantastic day. Bye bye.